Welcome to another learning session with the trader investor. It's been a long time since we've had the touch point and went over the market. So there's going to be a few refreshers going back and looking at different aspects of the market, the structure, where we left off, what did the market do based on where we left off. So we're going to cover all of that for now. And as you can see, I left the marker here, the zigzag marker from our last conversation a few weeks ago, where I said I would like price to go up, pull back a little bit, and continue its upward movement. So as we think about zigzag, this is where, especially for somebody who is new, this is where it gets confusing. We want to see this continuously, right? This is something we want to see. This is how a solid structure looks like, and we want to be able to trade these picks or troughs, just be able to pick them. However, sometimes we see what is happening in the market here, where you have lower high, lower low, then you get in the middle kind of a mixed bag, right? That lower low is not broken anymore. First time we attempted to break a higher high, then we come back and do a lower high, and then we come back and do a lower low. So this is where if you don't have patience, it can get tricky. If you feel like you have to take a trade all the time, it can get tricky. What I say in markets like this, if you're not comfortable, is sit on the sideline. Not losing money is also making money, right? It's similar. So let's keep that in mind. But again, as we look at that as a refresher, where is our fib retracement? We are right now in that green zone, right? From the last push up, we're in that green zone, and we're looking at the daily, and nothing has really changed in the overall market. We're in this very strong uptrend where the Qs held the 61.8 and the SPYs held the 50%. That is still intact, right? So we're just having this moment here where price is kind of tricking us. I'm going down, but now I'm going up. So it's we haven't fully recovered to the highs yet, but we're kind of playing in those areas. And so then, as we look at the fib, as we look at the zigzag, I want to come down to the hourly chart, because this is where we were. So Tuesdays is where we have conversations, and this is where I say, hey, if we come down, test some low, and take it back up there, that's a decent move, right? So from, you have these two areas. You have this area where you've failed to make a lower low. So this could be a signal to go up high to close these gaps, right? This could be a play that we've kind of discussed the last time we met, and that's exactly what happened. And if I remove this here to the side, we get this hammer at, back at the 38.2. It is failing to go to 50%. So we get this hammer, and then it starts to make higher low. And as soon as we close the gap, cautious, right? We say, okay, this gap could act as supply zone. It can act as very strong resistance, which it did, because from there we're seeing nothing but lower high. And that's why it helps to see at the hourly. So this really, the market has just been kind of same for SPYs and the Qs. If we test this, we take it. that's exactly what it gave us, right? And when we draw this, remember, when we draw that, we don't see the rest of the market. This is what we see. And so we're saying, let's anticipate and draw. And when we anticipate and draw, right? Okay, when we do this, we say, okay, if we get some retest of this 50% but higher low, this is where we want to go. So as you can see here, when we said it never went down here, so we have to patiently wait because this now became slightly higher, right? Slightly higher. And then when we were patient, it gave us that test. This is really how we have to think about it, right? It's about patience because it's very easy to say, hey, you know what? I did this price, when I drew it, I was here. Price gave me this very shallow pullback. Let me take it. Very easy to say that. Would you be wrong? It depends on where you have your entry and where you have your stops, right? If your stop is way down here, then your exit, oops, your exit for your 2x, right? 2-for-1 ratio is somewhere where it got somewhere there. We got there, but you were sweating it for a while because you were in negative territory. But on the other hand, if you were patient and waited for this hammer to form and you take your trade at the top of that hammer, now you have a new higher low. You don't have to go all this way, right? You have a higher low. Now you're 2-for-1. Let's see how far away you are. You're almost at 4-for-1. So the right and wrong, it's a matter of preference and a matter of where you feel comfortable pulling the trigger and how wide you want to make your stop. From a risk perspective, if in a single trade you can only tolerate $100 loss, for example, it doesn't matter how wide your stop is because then you just adjust the number of shares, right? So that from that pain perspective, it's okay whether you have taken it way up here or way down here. However, the wider you have your stop, the harder it becomes to hit a 2-to-1 risk reward target, right? So I always like to emphasize on those. When you take a trade, just be patient and then take it. If you say, you know what, I am patient, I am taking this trade, I am taking this trade, I'm patient. Uh, I don't want my stop here, but mentally it's somewhere here, mentally, because you always have to give it wiggle room. But as soon as I get to some level here, I'm going to take an exit where I see some potential area where price could stall, right? You see, if you draw a support line, for example, that price could stall there. Or if you want to draw a supply zone, if you want to draw a supply zone, remember fall, sideways fall, that becomes your supply zone, the 1 hour supply zone. And what happens? Exactly at that spot is where you have your exit. So you don't care this ratio here because you've intentionally taken this entry. It's about being intentional. But if you're wrong and you take too many of these trades, your account goes negative very quick. That's why you have to be careful on that specific approach. Uh, so let's just open it up a little bit for like any questions or anything else that we should cover because I don't believe you took any trades, either one of you, right, in the last few weeks. So what areas like should we focus on as a refresher?
Would love to kind of take a look at in this kind of choppier market. Beyond that one, what other trades would kind of interest you, even if they're tight trades and you have to really watch it? What other opportunities do you see in SPYs or the Qs where potentially there was an opportunity, like in the last week or so? Um,
That's a very very good question. Um, I think I want us to get to a point where uh, we take advanced trades to where what I'm about to say will make sense, right? By advanced trades, meaning counter trend trades. Like
mhm.
we've always said, until you're very profitable meaning you can journal a successful set of trades by just only trading in the direction of the current trend. It's difficult right now to see any opportunities. However, I said a little bit ago, I said when the market gives you this area of value in this sense being the gap here, when it closes the gap and it fails to make a higher high, after that it fails to completely close that gap, you take a short position, right? You take a short position. Your high is maybe at this peak or maybe outside of the uh, gap there. And of course, we always like our ratio 2 for 1. That's our ratio. And if we go there, uh, right, this is uh, what it looks like. So
Hmm.
this is an area where I saw an opportunity, but that's again, it's counter trend, right?
Hmm.
And you know, right before we spoke, we were in this green to green area. I love this green to green zone. Like I love this trade here. This is one of my favorite trades because we came down, tested the green, and I know I have room until this gap, and that is quite a bit of a room here.
Hmm.
Right, so those trades I like, but right now, as it stands right now, we have a trend line, right? We have a trend line, and are we respecting this trend line? Right, we're almost like going in a channel. So what I want to see is next time we come here, do we attempt to go back down here? Right? Are we making? That's really what lower high is all about. Lower high,
Hmm.
lower low. That's what it's about, right? So every point here gives getting lower. So are we gonna trade in this channel and go down just like we did here, right? Just the same way like we did here. Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower, low, lower, low, lower, low, lower, low, until we finally broke out. And then the real test of that breakout is we formed a higher low. So now again the same thing. When we formed a lower high, it says okay, now I'm going in the opposite direction. But for my trades, what is the overall trend? Right? That's what I'm looking at. What is the overall trend? I don't want to fight that trend. I don't want to fight that trend. It's still to the upside. So I want to just play it to the upside. So it's okay if you say, hey, okay, so can I take these trades here? Can I take them here? Sure, right? This is something we will do. As we get more and more sophisticated, then we will also take the trades up here.
Hmm.
When you take, so here's how I trade. When I'm going in the direction of the trend, I take full position and I expect my 2 to 1 risk reward ratio. That's my expectation. That's where I set my exit because I'm going in the direction of the trend. When I'm not going with the trend, I'm very, very nimble. Like my stops get tighter, and the way I tighten my stop is not where I place the stop, is how much my position size is. Right? That's how I tighten my stop. Because I just because I take uh, one share versus 10 shares, how the market works doesn't change, right? So
Mm.
not giving myself wiggle room is going to hurt me. So instead of saying I'm gonna make my stop extremely tight to where it doesn't make sense, I just decrease my position size. And now as price moves in my favor, now I can really tighten the stop because I don't want to be on a losing position. Right? So if I take this trade and my initial stop is here, when my position gets down to here, okay, so let's see, did I get the so did I have the 2-for-1 ratio, right? So that's one thing I would look at. And so that's somewhere down here. I don't have that. So what do I do? Then I say, okay, you know what? I don't want to give back all this gain. This is very close to my exit. I don't want to give back this gain. Now my stop is going to be extremely tight. Extremely tight meaning the last area of value where price gave me a lower high and went down. This is my stop. Now I can be extremely picky and put my stops extremely tight, right? Because now what I want is when I wake up, even if I'm stopped out, I'm not giving back all these gains. Yes, gaps can happen, but overall, I'm not giving back all these gains just because I was greedy. Right? Especially what in this counter trend, I'm not going for that 2 to 1 risk reward. If it gives it to me, great. I'll take it. Like if price shoots down like this, I'll wait for it patiently. But if when it bounces up, this is what I say. Okay, I'm gonna tighten my stop. If tomorrow we get price to go down, then this stop now becomes further down here, right? And this stop just keeps moving down until I hit my target or half of that position, and then it's gonna be past my target, and it's just gonna keep following until I am stopped out. Stopped out, or I said, okay, enough profits, I'm done. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
Okay. What else?
It'd be great to hear about kind of your thoughts on the rest of the week as well, in terms of where you think we're going to go. I know we have some events tomorrow that, with Powell speaking,
Yeah.
where that could maybe impact the market. But would love to get your thoughts as well on where we think
Yeah.
you're headed.
So tomorrow, 11 a.m., we're gonna hear about the rate, which I don't believe they will change, even though last week we had a slight tick up in inflation. I still don't think they will change the rates yet. I think they want to see is that an anomaly because they always play catch up, right? They're never ahead of the game. They're like, oh, we missed it. Let's go and fix it. So I don't think they'll change rates, and for sure they're not gonna go down. They're not. We're nowhere near
Yeah.
a race to go back in the opposite direction. So that's but I bring up the calendar because it's an important event tomorrow. So I am not in a position to monitor trades tomorrow. I'm not taking any trade. I don't have any position. because I will not have time to monitor trades right before he speaks.
Mm.
But if you do have time, this is where, based on based on this scenario, you have to decide if there is a trade to be made or not. Probably this trade is probably missed. So it's just, if he speaks and price gives us a nice bounce up here, it'll be nice for content trade. But uh, what I say is wait for price. Maybe it comes down here tomorrow because of what he's going to say,
Mm.
right? And maybe this is where we will get this trade, this leg up. So this might be an opportunity. If price comes down for us, this is a great opportunity to take it here, right? And
Mhm.
then from here, see what happens. It's all a For tomorrow. It's all a waiting game, unless you're a 5 minute, day trader, where you can trade all day long until about 5 minutes before he speaks. But outside of that, for the rest of us, uh, I think it's just a good waiting game. Are there any specific stocks we can look at?
I was just looking at my 401k as we were talking here in terms of like year-to-date returns.
Yeah.
Pretty surprised that, I mean, I just haven't looked at it all year long until now. It's at 26%. I didn't know has SPY gone up that much since January?
Oh, you know that January was the low. So
That's true, yeah.
if you look at the daily, uh, so 23 here, it was the low. October was the low, and then after that was, end of December, and since then we've seen nothing but up in the Qs.
Yeah.
Very similar to the spies. October was the low. The spies held very strong, right? The whole time held very strong.
Mm.
Stayed above 50% retracement, and even in December, do this comparison. Like, you see, we're almost back to the same low at the end of December for Qs, but for spies, we're nowhere near there, right? We're starting to take off, and so you have, and just this year alone, from 378 to 460, that's a pretty decent move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Any other questions?
What are your thoughts on just Nvidia? It's just been a kind of a market mover on itself, and there's just rumors on the side of what's going on, and the CEO keeps selling, so it's not really sending out a lot of good signs on kind of their situation.
Is he selling because he knows something, or is he selling because, like, I made a ton of money, I just want to cash out?
The $1 million question.
Yeah, right. It's tough, and I don't know. Like, I haven't looked at it, right? So that's why I don't know. I haven't looked at how much of his portfolio he's selling. Like, is it, you know, I mean, 5% of 1 million is a lot more than 5% of 10,000. So from that perspective, people might panic. But is he selling a small percentage of his portfolio because he wants some cash to do something, right? Does he want to pay down his jet or something?
Yeah. It's mansion or something.
Yeah, something like that, right? So Since I haven't looked at it, I won't be able to give you a good answer. But I think it's best to look at what percentage of his holding he's getting rid of. If it's a small percentage, then it's really not significant. Usually, you get scared if they dump everything. Like, okay, now we have a problem. Yeah. But Nvidia is an amazing story.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Netflix, surprisingly, after the announcement, is still holding pretty strong. Yeah. Still holding pretty strong.
Are you
Sorry?
I was gonna say, are you still in like the fintech stocks? Like SoFi and PayPal.
This is, this is, for me, this is my favorite. I'm still in it.
Yeah.
I don't intend to get rid of this one, because I think so. What I would like is to see us coming back to the 20s, right? Not necessarily to the 28s, but at least to the 20s. PayPal is just one of those where we have a love-hate relationship. I just keep adding, like every time we make a low, I add. At some point, my account is gonna get mad at me. It's like, this allocation is just too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's their like issue right now?
What's their issue?
Yeah.
I think they have too much competition. I think that's really the biggest thing that people are worried about, right? It's their platform is not as robust as, let's say, something like a Visa or a MasterCard, where they don't have any competition.
Yeah.
But too many players in the payment processing arena.
Right.
So when you start to lose market share, what I'm banking on is for their management. I think they've had solid run, up to this point where we started to collapse. But what I'm banking on is that they're cooking up something using AI to kind of revitalize their business.
Okay.
All right, I think we've had enough of this one for today, and we will reconvene next week.
Sounds good.